If you think the Chicago Cubs front office is simply waiting for the medical staff to clear our pitchers, you might want to think again. There's a behind-the-scenes plan that could completely change the course of October. The Chicago Cubs starting rotation has reached a critical turning point this season. While fans anxiously watch what's happening on the field, the atmosphere inside the Wrigley Field front office is one of complete urgency. Injuries to key arms like Cade Horton and Justin Steele have thrown the coaching staff's original plans into disarray. On top of that, Edward Cabrera's ongoing physical issues and inconsistent performances on the mound have exposed a weakness that simply cannot be ignored by a team with legitimate World Series aspirations. With the MLB trade deadline approaching quickly in early August, the Cubs' internal belief is that simply waiting for the injured pitchers to return is far too risky. Around the league, there is growing speculation that Chicago's front office has already identified several high-impact pitching targets. They're not looking for depth pieces, they're searching for a true frontline starter capable of leading the rotation in the biggest postseason games. And what about you, Cubs fans? Have you stopped to think about what happens if Chicago enters the playoffs relying almost entirely on just two pitchers to start the opening games of a series? If you follow this team every single day and want to stay on top of every strategic move, now's the perfect time to hit that like button so you don't miss any exclusive updates here on Wrigley Report. The current situation calls for bold action. According to recent reporting and analysis from respected baseball insiders, including veteran Bleacher Report writer Kerry Miller, the Cubs are becoming dangerously dependent on Shota Imanaga and Matthew Boyd heading into the postseason. The bigger concern is that both pitchers are approaching free agency, making the search for another top-tier starter essential not only for this season but for the franchise's future as well. That's exactly why Minnesota Twins ace Joe Ryan has emerged as what many analysts consider the obvious game-changing solution for the Chicago Cubs. Ryan is an elite starting pitcher, a two-time All-Star, known for his outstanding command of his fastball and an impressive strikeout rate of 10.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. Even though he's coming off an unusually rough outing against the Cleveland Guardians, where he surrendered 6 home runs, Ryan's overall resume and arsenal still make him a legitimate Game 1 starter for any World Series contender. The biggest obstacle is Minnesota's position in the trade market. The Twins would likely need to become sellers before they seriously consider moving him. If that happens, the Cubs wouldn't just solve their immediate rotation problem before the August 3rd deadline, they'd also acquire a dominant frontline arm who remains under team control beyond the 2026 season, dramatically changing the organization's outlook. From my perspective as someone who follows everything happening around Wrigley Field every single day, acquiring Joe Ryan wouldn't just be another mid-season trade, it would be a statement to the rest of Major League Baseball. Everything I'm hearing suggests the Cubs aren't interested in short-term rentals or temporary fixes. What this team truly needs, and what I believe the front office should aggressively pursue, is a pitcher capable of taking the ball in Game 1 of a playoff series against any National League powerhouse. Counting on a miracle recovery from the injured pitchers is simply too dangerous. If the Cubs want to transform this roster into a legitimate Commissioner's Trophy contender, they have to be aggressive. Joe Ryan offers the ideal combination of elite command on the mound and multiple years of contractual control. The numbers and analytical projections explain exactly why this move is so important for Chicago. Right now, sportsbooks and postseason projection models rank the Cubs around 8th among World Series favorites, with odds hovering around plus 1,700. By comparison, several National League powerhouses carry much shorter odds, ranging from plus 190 to plus 550. That gap reflects the uncertainty surrounding Chicago's starting rotation in a short playoff series. Historically, statistical analysis shows that winning Game 1 sets the tone for more than 65% of successful postseason series in modern MLB history. Joe Ryan brings exactly the kind of profile championship teams value. His 10.3 strikeouts per 9 innings, combined with one of the lowest walk rates among pitchers who rely heavily on a four-seam fastball, gives him the ability to limit hard contact while taking significant pressure off the bullpen. Financially, The deal also makes tremendous sense for Chicago, because Ryan remains under team control for another season beyond 2026. The prospect package required by the Twins would likely be justified by both the immediate impact and the long-term stability he would provide. Adding Ryan would significantly improve the Cubs' statistical chances of competing with the National League's elite. My conclusion is simple. If I were sitting at the Cubs negotiating table today, I wouldn't hesitate to include the organization's top prospects in a package for Joe Ryan. More importantly, as both an analyst and a lifelong Cubs fan, I believe we should all be watching one thing over the next week, hoping the Minnesota Twins continue sliding in the standings and ultimately decide to become sellers. That could create the golden opportunity to put the Chicago Cubs back among Major League Baseball's true championship contenders. We'll be following every development closely,